Hey guys. All right, what's up? Hey everybody, Alec, Torelli here. Pumped to be back. Happy Friday, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. Dragon, Andrew, Steve, Sirkin, Victor, thanks for being here. See, we got people from the Bay Area, Seattle, Cali, Vegas. As you guys know, I'm out in Italy, and more of the same. Actually, I went on a run today in my garage, structure. So I did like laps back and forth between the garage and the gate, which is the only place we're allowed to go outside aside from the balcony. So I haven't been outside in a long time, but staying positive. Got cooking, spending time with a lady. Really grateful for that. I'm grateful that I can interact with you. Grateful that we live in a world where there's the internet. I mean, man, imagine doing this without the internet. Jeez. I got YouTube. I have all the knowledge in the world on the internet. I can look up. I can learn things. So I've been staying positive. I'm staying happy, staying healthy. Got to do that. I think that's crucial during this time. So for those of you that are new, I know we got some new people here. Conscious Poker, we put out a lot of content on poker strategy, help you reach that next level on your poker journey. Be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on those notifications because I got an exciting content plan coming out for the next month, and we're going to do more of these YouTube lives. We're going to try our hardest to, and we've been consistent. We're going to try our hardest to stick to Wednesdays and Fridays at 8:30 Pacific. That seems to be working really well. It attracts people in Pacific time, Eastern time. I'm in Europe, so it's before dinner. Like, it all just kind of works. So Wednesdays and Fridays we'll be doing more of these, and then in addition to that, I'm going to try and put out content on this YouTube as well. Some Ask Alec videos and some hand of the days that are more structured. So those will be coming out soon. Stay tuned for that. So be sure to subscribe. And what else? I'm going to have some more announcements later today. But first and foremost, if you guys want to join the call and you want to be able to ask me questions, interact with me directly, there's a link in the description for a Zoom call. Zoom is a free service where we can just chat and have video calls or voice calls. It's totally free to use. It's at the description below. So hop on there if you want to ask me anything and be on the show at the end once I'm done talking with Josh, who will be on in a second. More announcements coming throughout the show, so stay tuned. We got an exciting lineup here today. We got a couple hands. We got some exciting stuff to announce. I think that's it. We're gonna hop on here. We're gonna hop on. I got some new people on the stream for the first time. Ole from Norway, what's up? Mac. If those of you guys that don't know, Mac was in one of the last YouTube lives, as well as a couple recent Hand of the Day episodes. So be sure to check those out on the YouTube. Trooper, Derek, Rob, what's up, guys? Thanks for being here. So let's hop on. We got Josh here. Josh is a member of Conscious Poker, so part of the membership program, and I reached out to him to be on the show. We've actually talked a couple times over the last 6 months, so we got to know each other a little bit, and reviewed quite a few of his hands, talked about strategy and stuff too. So Josh is a sharp upcoming poker player, and Josh from Northern Canada, what's up, man? Welcome to the YouTube Live. We're going to be reviewing a couple hands you sent today. You there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks for having me on here.
Yeah, man. Thanks for being here. Appreciate it. And thanks for sporting the Conscious Poker hoodie, man. You look good.
I figured it was a good moment to showcase.
Yeah, sorry, I should have fixed the camera. You can't really see it because people are like, what the hell? Can't really see it because of the camera's kind of zoomed in. But anyway, so you're from Northern Canada. What games do you play mainly? Give us a little bit of info.
Well, I'm 23. I usually play live 1-3 as a little side hustle as I was completing my chemical engineering degree at university. I'm just new to the live scene.
Yep. Yeah, you've been playing a lot of live poker and doing really well in those games, from what I understand, right?
Yeah. So far, so good anyway.
Yeah, awesome. So these hands you have here are actually online hands, because I know you transitioned to online, of course, after the whole the whole shebang.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, well, let's dive into it here. I'm excited to go over it. Hang on. I'm pulling it up here. So, guys, I'm going to be with you in the chat. I still got the chat up here as well. So, Brian, what's up? Thanks for being here. I want to engage with you guys as well. So, I'm going to be asking you questions as we go through the hands and we review. So, I've never seen these hands before. I'm doing it like we normally do. Josh sent these hands to the team. They put it in the replayer. Shout out Share My Pair, has some awesome replayers. They put the hands in the replayer, and then I'm watching them for the first time just like you guys are as well. So you're going to get my raw thoughts on these. I really curious to see what's going on. So Josh, we're starting with these hands. We got 2 hands today. Let's go to it. Let's go to it. So no spoilers about the results, Josh, because obviously that kind of kills the action. So don't say what you did until I kind of
Absolutely.
fill it in. I know we got. All right, so open. You're playing 6 max, right? And yeah, okay. So I think here we got a pretty standard call, right? Like 4-5 suited in the big blind, great spot to defend.
Exactly.
Yeah, not really much here. I don't want to kind of belabor too much about pre-flop play. If you guys want more on if you guys want more on pre-flop play, there's a quick start guide to pre-flop play. It's totally free. It should be at the link below, and you can download that. It tells you which hands to play from which positions and how to navigate pre-flop strategy. But I think in general in the big blind, you're going to be defending very wide, and you're closing the action. You're getting a good price, and you also have a suited hand that's very deceptive. It's going to play very well. In fact, you actually want your opponent to have a strong hand pre-flop because you can bust them. So I think we have a very standard call here, and let's go to the flop. All right, great flop for us. Mid pair, backdoor flush draw, gut shot. Pretty good. So,
it's not bad at all.
Yeah, what are your thoughts here? I mean, kind of let me know what you're thinking.
Sure. So, this is definitely a flop that is going to be on the big blind's range a lot more than it is the under the gun. So, I check as I'm going to do with my whole range. So, check over to the villain.
Yeah. So I mean, I kind of want to challenge that a bit. If you think this flop is better for your range than the villain's range, should we be betting here? What are your thoughts?
I feel that if I bet, I'm really capping my range to having strong holdings. So when I check, my hands aren't going to be as strong. So
sorry, we got.
Give me a moment to check raise.
Got my balls.
Sorry, we got this guy. Hold on, I got to boot someone from the. Sorry, guys. What the heck? Sorry, I got to boot someone out of our group here. Sorry, guys. That was hyper distracting. I got to get better at filtering these Zoom calls here because people aren't muting their microphones. Anyway, so your plan is to check raise here on the flop.
Absolutely.
Okay, what do you guys think about that in the chat? Mac, Nicholas, Brian, Derek, Rob, what do you think about a check raise here? I see Mac actually was jumping the gun advocating for a check raise here on the flop. Yeah, this is it definitely could be an interesting strategy. And just to kind of tie it all together, the reason, and Josh, I'm echoing kind of what you're saying here, the reason that I see you liking that play is because these cards are cards that are more likely to be in the big blind's range than in the villain's range. So the big blind could have 5, 6 types of hands, 3, 4, a lot easier than under the gun can. Well, under the gun can't really have those hands. So, this gives you what's called a range advantage, meaning there's certain hands in your range that are stronger than your opponent's range. Actually called a nut advantage, meaning there's more hands that you can have that make the nuts than your opponent's. So I can see a case for check raising. I can see a case for check calling, so long as you don't fold. So now I think here on the raise size, talk to me about this. You go 220. Why so small here? I mean, it's not quite a min raise, but not even 3x, and we're out of position.
Sure. The reason I went smaller is because if he's gonna call with his strong hand, he's gonna call, and we're gonna build a pot. But if he has junk, no matter what the raise size is, he's just gonna let it go. And right now, I do have the best hand at sometimes when I'm facing, a lot of his over cards, his ace king, his king queen, his king jack, jack 10. Those are all going to fold if they don't have the flush draw. So
yeah.
If he does have a monster hand, that the small raise is going to get the same thing done as if I went on the larger side.
I see your logic there. Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things that, like, if you raise bigger, what does it accomplish? If he has an overpair or a flush draw, he's going to call no matter what, or he's going to go all in no matter what. So you're just kind of being inefficient, whereas what you're really hoping is that he just folds out some bluffs or some overcards that have equity, like jack 10 of diamonds or whatever, something like that, right? Or an ace high type of hand.
Exactly.
Yep. So just trying to deny some equity from some overs. I like to play devil's advocate here. Not saying you're wrong, but I'd like to play devil's advocate and say, like, look, if he has 2 overs, your raise doesn't actually accomplish that much because you actually are ahead of his 2 overs. So anytime you're in a situation where you don't get a worse hand to call and you don't get a better hand to fold, it makes it a little bit more, a little bit less necessary to check raise. But I will say that denying equity, in other words, making him fold out 2 overs, is the main case for check raising here. The main case for check raising is that I don't see check raising, especially with this size, as valid if we're trying to get him to fold an overpair, simply because he's never going to fold an overpair. So I think it's important we're all on the same page about that. Some good comments here. Derek says, bet big if you pick up equity on the turn. That's a good concept to keep in mind, guys, where your turn betting frequency, in other words, how often are you betting the turn? A great way to kind of just keep yourself in line without overcomplicating things is just do what Derek said. You bet big or bet the turn. Let's leave bet sizing aside for now. But basically bet the turn when you pick up equity. And by only betting when your hand improves, you're betting with a small frequency, therefore keeping your range balanced. You're not bluffing too often. Is it perfect? No, but it's generally favorable to do as like a default because you're betting infrequently, number one, and number two, you're betting when you improve. So your chance of winning the hand improves. For example, if you bet on a diamond, your chance of winning when called on the turn is higher because you have diamonds now as outs. So you're also betting in combination, not just with your frequencies, but you're also betting in line with your equity. So it's a great strategy. Well done, Derek. Shout out. Hold. Derek got that. All right, let's go to the turn, which is not happening here. I hope my team didn't screw up this hand. One of the downsides of this, Josh, I sent you this hand too, right? You saw this. This is all correct, right?
Yeah, I checked it.
Okay, good. So yeah, in the first YouTube live, I didn't cross-check the hand with the person that I was reviewing it with, and like the cards were all wrong at the end, and he's like, that's not what happened, and I'm like, well, I didn't see the hand, I just sent it to my team, and so like there was like a misunderstanding with the cards. Anyway, well, I'm trying to get this out going to the river because I don't want to spoil the hand, so it's like really this delicate balance of trying to get the turn to come out. So the turn's an 8 of diamonds. What my replayer is freezing here too, which is
let's do that. If we can get into that 8 of diamonds, which
Hey, all right, can you hear me now? Should work. Okay. Sorry, so this should work. All right, guys, so we back here on the turn. What do you guys think here in the chat? What would you do here? I'd kind of like your guys' thoughts. Sorry, I'm going to make this full screen. We had a few technical difficulties here. Let me know your thoughts in the chat, and we will get back on it. How big would you bet? I think the consensus is here that betting is pretty standard, facing this this turn. Now, we picked up more equity. We kind of talked about that before. Important to note stack sizes. As Derek mentioned, stacks are a bit awkward. But I think a bet here is probably reasonable. It's important to know that we talked about this on the flop a bit, where which player is more likely to have a strong hand. And the hero can easily have a hand like, three, not easily, but he can more easily have 3-4, more easily have 6-5, more easily, I would say, probably have the sets. I don't know if villain is opening under the gun with deuces, maybe 5s, probably 6s. But also now that this turn card came a 8, the hero can now more easily have 7-9 and 7-4. These are all hands that are in the hero's range, in Josh's range here, and that aren't in the villain's range. So we have what's called a nut advantage, meaning there's more hands that the hero can have that make the nuts than hands that the villain could have. So also, we picked up a lot of equity. We can bet this turn. Because we have a lot of equity when called, even if he does call with aces, we're not in bad shape. And there's also some rivers we can bluff as well, like a 9 could be a good bluff card for us. So I think we can win this pot without even the best hand. I hear a lot of people saying 2/3 pot, like Justin, Joe, Mac, Steve. Sounds like 2/3 pot is like the standard sort of size here, and I think that is pretty standard. Especially with these stack sizes here, we bet 2/3 pot, and we can set it up for a river jam depending on what happens. One interesting.
Reasonably chunky bet here, so that the shove on the river would be reasonable.
Yeah, exactly, and that's one thing I want to encourage everyone to think about is, when sizing your bets, think about how it's going to impact your hand on a later street. So, for example, how big you bet on the turn will impact your stack to pot ratio and how much you have left on the river. I talk about that more in a blog on consciouspoker.com. We have the ultimate guide to bet sizing, and it'll really help you in spots like this determine optimal bet sizes. That's totally free. It's a piece of content. The ultimate guide to bet sizing on consciouspoker.com. Check that out. So you bet 450, he calls. Pretty standard here on the turn, I think. Now we hit a 4 on the river. Ooh, interesting card because we improved. So now we beat all the over pairs, but A, we lose to a straight, and B, it's hard to get called by an overpair. So this is a little bit of a conundrum. What do you guys think here in the chat? What would you do here? Notice the stack size and notice the pot size. Important to keep that in mind when making your decisions. What would you do here? Let me know in the chat.
This is a really interesting spot, and this is why I really wanted to bring this to you. They only have an SPR of like 3/4, like 0.75-ish.
Yes, SPR, guys, he means stack to pot ratio. Josh is a wizard because he's in the membership at Conscious Poker. We have a whole course on mastering poker math where stack to pot ratio is one of the videos. So if that's something you struggle with, there's actually a free trial available now. You guys can see that here in the link in the description below. So check that out if that is something you want more information about. Guys, they can't hear you, Josh. I'm hearing people being slightly tilted. They can't hear Josh. You're muffled. Maybe talk a little bit louder and closer to the mic.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, I hope this works.
Hear me fine, Alec, yeah?
Yeah, my sound is good, but I feel I'm hearing people say that yours is muffled here. Also, we're on a little bit of a delay, so it's hard to know, how much we covered without them hearing you. So Josh really didn't say much, but he basically was saying so far that this was a tough spot because of the reasons I said. He was going to give his logic here, but I want to make sure everyone could hear Josh. So Josh, what are your thoughts here? Try and talk as loud as you can.
Yeah, I'm talking with my... I wonder if the chat can hear me now.
Yeah, maybe try not to use the AirPods because I know they were a problem before.
Let me take off the AirPods then.
Well, we got a lot of great comments here from you guys while Josh is fixing his tech. We got...
How's it now, guys?
Yeah, I think that's going to work. I hear some people say check. Reese likes a check. Mr. DLK likes an all-in. So, yeah. And then Guido wants to bet small for pot control. Betting small is interesting, but we basically have a small stack here. So it would be kind of hard to bet small. I guess we could bet $4, which might be a good strategy, and then we could fold to a jam, which I think is probably a fine strategy, kind of like the best of both worlds. Steve's saying if you're going to call anyway, just bet. And that's a good case when when there's more hands that call you than hands that bet. Kind of makes sense to go with that line, right? When you can get more value by betting than you can by checking, does make some sense to bet. So definitely quite a bit of interesting strategy here. All right, Josh, what are your thoughts?
Can you guys hear me in the chat? I guess this is that's half the battle here. But even if they can't, regardless, you can reiterate what I'm saying. I thought this was a very interesting spot. I find at low stakes, my general consensus is that people overvalue the overpairs. So when I hit 2-pair in this spot, I thought if I checked to him, I feel that they would be happy to rip it in. And then that would put me in a really tough spot because they obviously are going to rip all their spades, most likely. And if they're going to rip their spades, they're going to obviously go all into their straights. So I felt that I would be called by an overpair, but if I checked to them, they would not bet an overpair.
Yeah, okay, so guys, sorry about this because Josh is talking to me on Zoom, but everyone's saying you're very quiet, so I'm going to reiterate what Josh said, and then for the second hand, Josh, I think you're going to have to type your thoughts to me on Zoom while I reiterate them, because otherwise we're gonna kind of lose people here. Okay, so basically Josh is saying people overvalue overpairs at small stakes online, and it's more likely that these people will call with an overpair than they will bet, and he gets more value from betting here than he does by checking, because he basically puts his opponent on an overpair. Now, one thing I would think about here is just how likely is it that your opponent has an overpair, and how likely is it he has an overpair based on how he played the hand on previous streets. So one thing I always like to do when
Can you guys hear me in chat now?
I don't know, they'll see. Josh is trying a new mic, so let me know if you can hear him. But one of the things I do when going over hands is go over what's called the hand range funnel, and it's a process I invented to help. And Josh, you know this because we I know you've worked on this quite a bit. But
I was just gonna bring that up. I'm glad you said that.
yeah, so basically the idea is that you use this idea of a funnel to help figure out what your opponents are holding. And so the idea of a funnel is that it starts very wide at the top and gets narrower as the hand goes down. And there's three principles of a hand range funnel. One of the principles is if you eliminate a hand from your opponent's range, you can eliminate it if you eliminate a hand from your opponent's range on any street, you could eliminate it forever. And so going back through the hand, thinking about how our opponent played this hand, if we go back through the hand and we exercise the strategy of the funnel on the flop and on the turn, I would question whether or not our opponent can even have an overpair because he just called the flop. And if he had an overpair, he might have raised the flop again or raised the turn, because a lot of these players at small stakes typically overplay these types of hands. They want to play them more aggressive to protect against draws. So I would say it's possible he has an overpair for sure, but some of the overpair combinations, in other words, some of the time he has an overpair, he's not going to play it this way. So I think we have to discount some of those hands. And you guys can get access to the hand range funnel. It's totally free. It's available at the link in the description below. It'll walk you through a 7-page PDF of how I hand read, how I put people on ranges in all these spots, and how you can do it as well in your own game, how you can adjust the concepts that we talk about to your own game and strategy, whether you play online or live. So check that out. It's totally free. But yeah, so I think...
Pretty 50-50 in the chat if they can hear me or not. Sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, they just say your volume is very low. They hear you, but your volume is very low, Josh.
Really weird. Really weird.
Yeah, it might not be you. It might be me. So I'm going to try one thing and see if this works. I'm switching up the mics here. Yeah, so we'll see. Anyway, yeah, so I see some different thoughts in chat here as well. Let's see what you ended up doing here.
I ended up going all in because I felt that.
Okay, we went all in. Wow. So you went all in. Why'd you decide to go all in here?
Well, as I was saying earlier, I think that if I checked to him, his overpairs would check back.
Yeah.
With such a textured board, but I feel they'd be more inclined to call a bet because, as I said, at lower stakes, I find people really value their overpair. So I feel they'd be more inclined to call the all-in, where they would not check it to them themselves, or rather, they would check it back if I checked to them.
Yeah.
And also, if they did go, if I checked and they went all in, I'd be in a tricky spot because then I would have to wager the times that they just had overcards and spades versus straight. Now, being under the gun, they shouldn't have too many straights. The only things that I could see them having a straight with is like ace-3 of spades, specifically. Pocket threes, maybe, but they should be folding that either A, under the gun, or B, when I continue to barrel flop in turn.
Yep.
Maybe pocket sevens that didn't believe me on the flop, then turn open-ended and go out there with a straight. But other than that, I mean, there's very few combos of hands, whereas I felt that a lot of the overpairs were going to call. So I kind of went through this with the hand range funnel, and I felt there was a lot of hands that would call versus hands that would just fold.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, for sure. So basically just saying that, there's just there's just enough overpairs in his range, 9s, 10s, jacks, queens, kings, aces. And one of the things, if you, I put together a combo counting worksheet, which helps you count the possibility that your opponent has different types of hands at different spots. And one of the basic combinations to memorize is the amount of pairs. There's 6 combinations of every pair. So if you think about it, he can have 9s, 10s, jacks, queens, kings, aces. 6 pairs times 6 combinations of each is 36 combos. So there's 36 different possibilities of hands he can have that are over pairs. So to help you memorize that, I put together a combo counting worksheet, which is inside a course in the membership as well. So that's a course you can take inside the membership, which I definitely recommend checking out if you guys want to get faster at being able to automatically come up with the possible different hands your opponent can have. So targeting 36 combos of overpairs, I can see here a case for betting. One thing I might do, which one of the people in the chat said, is just bet small. I think, if you do bet big, he might end up folding one of those overpairs.
He might like hero fold a hand like jacks. But if you bet 450, I think he's always going to call. So I think you might actually target those hands better. And then if you are beat, for example, like with, he has a set or a straight and he raises, you can then fold. So you kind of get the best of both worlds by betting small. He ended up calling with ace-3. That's brutal. Quite unfortunate that he...
Just a non-believer on the flop.
Yeah. Well, on the flop, he had, I think it's standard for him to call this flop. Yeah, gutter, overcard, backdoor diamonds. I think it's very standard to call this flop. In fact, if we raised bigger, maybe he folds. But, the way he played the hand actually makes a lot of sense. I think he played it fine. It's just one of those unfortunate situations where, we ended up getting crushed here. Oh man, that's brutal. So, no matter what, we're going to lose money there. It's just a matter of of how much. And I think actually betting... I know this sounds results oriented. In other words, it sounds like I'm saying this because of the results, but even before I was thinking it kind of had that best of both worlds by betting small. It's like you guarantee to get called by an overpair, but at the same time, if he does have those hands that contain a 7 or a 3 or a set, which are definitely a decent amount of combos, you get away from them. So you get away from your hand. So I think.
How small could we bet?
So.
Yeah,
the pot. Yeah, I bet like a third of the pot, like let's say $4 on the river, something like that, and then you still have whatever $8 behind. So if he jams, you can fold. Something along those lines, I think would be a reasonable strategy there too. So guys, I'm really sorry about the tech today. We will do better in the future. Sorry about that, but we do have some exciting announcements. So. We're going to get to the second hand in a minute, and I promise I will stay later and take some of your questions as well. Josh, you're going to have to do me a favor and type your thoughts on the second hand because people are having trouble hearing you. So just kind of type them as we go, and I'll read your thoughts out loud to the people, and I'll narrate it. But I am excited to announce, so I've received a lot of comments from you guys, from people that want to improve at poker and really want to go to that next level, especially here. At this point, people have a lot of time to work on poker. Poker is actually one of the things that is, becoming, people are spending more time doing at this time, and rightly so. So I wanted to put together a private mastermind of like-minded people that are all working together towards a common goal and walk them through my flagship course. I call it Win 2K because that's the goal, to help people win 2K a month playing poker. And so I'm going to be with you every step of the way. So it's a limited group of people, and it's an 8-week program. I've done this in the past. It's a ton of fun, and it's great because you get to interact with other like-minded people through a private community on Facebook and or Slack. And then I'll be there monitoring comments and answering questions on a daily basis. And then we'll also do monthly group coaching calls. Bi-monthly group coaching calls. So we'll do 4 or 6 calls throughout the entire session, and then I'll also get a chance to work with you one-on-one to iron out any kinks in your game and help you reach that next level. So there's a lot of support throughout the entire program, and I'm taking applications for people that want to join. It is a paid mastermind, so be aware of that. But if you do want to join, there's a link in the description below. You can apply, fill out a couple questions. I or someone from my team will get back to you if it sounds like a good fit. We want to keep everyone kind of on the same level as well, so everyone can benefit from the community as well and working with other people. And that was one of the strongest points of when we did this in the past, is that like the interactions and the facilitation between people in the program was really amazing, and people really learned a lot, not just from me responding to their questions and the coaching calls and whatnot, but also from the other players. And they actually made friends that lasted a long time, and they were communicating with each other long beyond the program. So that's something that I'm really excited about. We're going to be doing that sometime in May, but we are laying the groundwork now, and so want to get everyone on the same page. So if you're interested in something you're interested in applying for, check that out at the link in the description below. And yeah, that's going to be awesome. One more announcement too. There's also a link in the description for a brand new book I have coming out called The Poker Coach. So it's on pre-order. It's coming out May 12th. It'll be out in bookstores, which you might not be going to, but it'll also be on Amazon. That's also at the description, link in the description below. I modeled this after my coaching sessions that I do, my one-on-one day sessions with clients, or my virtual coaching program where I work with clients all around the world. And I took the curriculum from my day sessions and from my group, like my one-on-one coaching programs with them virtually, and put it into a linear follow format in the book. It's really awesome. There's like custom made charts in here that are color coded that are really pretty and fun. And then there's also like questions as well to help you progress on your poker journey. So you can fill out questions. It's an interactive workbook as well. So it's a lot of fun. I really think that's going to help a lot of you on your game in your game. So check that out at the link in the description below as well. All right, let's go back to another hand. Short commercial break. Got to do it. But I want to go back to this other hand, Josh. I know you have ace queen because you told me that this is the ace queen hand. We're going to jump in. Josh, I want your thoughts in chat on Zoom, because if you talk, then I can't talk. And then I get confused. All right, so let's see. I don't know. Maybe it's better now. Guys, if you can hear Josh, let me know. Yeah, let's see. There's someone else on Zoom. Let me try and talk to Dragon. Let me see. Hold on, guys. We're going to troubleshoot for 1 second on Zoom here. We got an interesting hand here. Let's see. Dragon, are you there?
Talk to me, but I'm not sure if I'm going to hear myself on YouTube. That's the issue.
Okay, could you guys hear someone else talking on Zoom right now? I opened up someone else's microphone, and I'm just trying to test if it's Zoom or if it's him or if it's me.
Yes, I'm here, but I can barely hear myself on YouTube.
Okay, I'm muting him again. Let me know if you guys could hear someone else talking on Zoom. Okay, yeah, it's very low volume, so it must be on my end, guys. Something must have gone wrong when my screen got all screwed up, and I'm sorry. We're gonna have to fix it next time. I promise we will fix it. You know what, Josh? I actually have a really good idea. I'm gonna move my microphone over to my computer so that when I'm talking, it'll pick up your mic. So actually, Josh, let's try that. Josh, tell me your thoughts on this hand here. So hold on. Why do I hear myself? What's going on? Josh, you got to mute. Hold on. Why do I hear myself? What's going on? Josh, you got to mute.
I'm not.
No, there we go. Now I hear you, Josh.
Okay.
All right, so we opened 3x, very standard.
Yeah, ace queen under the gun one, pretty standard.
All right, so hold on, I'm hearing an echo. This is super tilting. Hold on. Hang on, guys. Hold on, I'm hearing it. All right, so let me know if everybody can, yeah, let me know if everyone can hear me. Hold on, guys. Yeah, let me know if everyone can hear me now. I think we should be good. So you opened to 3x.
Yeah.
Villain calls, pretty standard. Loving this spot here.
Absolutely, in the wide big blind range. Kind of the opposite of what we were just talking about, where I was in the big blind. This time, the roles are reversed. I'm the one who's under the gun, and the big blind's falling.
Yeah, so we actually got a check raise here on the flop. So what are you kind of thinking here when you get check raised?
Well, when I get check raised, I'm thinking that obviously we know those lower cards are going to be more with his range, but obviously I can't let it go because, of course, I've made the top pair. We're definitely going to have to see a second card.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know if you guys can hear Josh, but basically he's saying that he made top pair top kicker, backdoor flush draw, backdoor straight draw. No way he can fold, right? But at the same time, aware that the big blind is still more likely to have a hand that is potentially better. Like the big blind could have a queen 3, queen 4, 3, 4 easier than you can. Not really that much easier. I mean, obviously he can have those hands easier than you, but like there's not many hands that he has that are like nut advantage. So I don't think we have to kind of like go too much into the nut advantage thing here, because I mean, think about it, guys. If he 3-4, right? How many possible ways can he have 3-4? So one of the things we talked about in the last hand was just memorizing the basic combos, which is part of that combo counting cheat sheet. So one of the combos is 2-pair. Well, how many combinations of 3-4 are there? There's only 2, because he can't have 3-4 offsuit. So there's only 2 combos of 3-4 suited. Think about it. Count it out on your hands, guys. 3-4 of diamonds and 3-4 of clubs. He can't have 3-4 of hearts. The 4 of hearts is on the board. He can't have 3-4 of spades. The 3 of spades on the board. There's only 2 combos of 3-4. Okay, how many combos of queen 4 are there? Right? I want you guys to tell me in the chat. Okay, I want you guys to kind of like do this exercise with me. How many ways can the big blind have queen 4? How many ways can he have queen 4? Type in chat, bonus points for someone that gets it right. Let me know your thoughts in the chat, because this is important, guys. If you're able to count the combinations, you can easily figure out your chance of winning, how likely it is your opponent's bluffing, and it'll lead you to the right conclusion. So it's a really powerful tool. Again, it's free. There's a free trial for the membership. There's a course inside the membership that's there called Hand Reading Foundation, where you can access to my cheat sheet, and it'll tell you how to do all this in real time. So I hear a couple answers here. Most people say 2, some people say 3. Actually, the real answer is coming out. Someone got it 1. Mac, good job, buddy. Corrected himself. 1. And the reason is because we have a queen of diamonds in our hand called a blocker, meaning we block the possibility that our opponent has a certain hand. So he cannot have queen 4 of diamonds because we have the queen of diamonds. So the only queen 4 combo he can have is not queen 4 of spades. The queen of spades is on the board. Not queen 4 of hearts. 4 of hearts is on the board. Not queen 4 of diamonds. Diamonds in our hand. It's queen 4 of clubs. So the only queen 4 combo is queen 4 of clubs. And there are 1 combination of that, 2 combinations of 3-4, 2 combinations of queen 3. He can have queen 3 of clubs and queen 3 of hearts. So you add all those together, not that many combos of value hands that he can have. He never has pocket queens because he didn't re-raise preflop. And he could have 3s and 4s, but all this together are not that many combinations. So it's just important to keep that in mind. There's not that much value he's representing. So you with me there, Josh?
Yeah, one thing I was just going to add in is that you're right. When I was going through it, using the hand range funnel, of course, there's very few at this moment hands that he has for value. And I realized that, yes, his value range does have the set of 3s, the set of 4s, and the 2 combos, or the very few combos that we're talking about of the 2 pairs. Whereas he has a ton of draws.
Yes.
So that's one thing I kept in mind, is that he has all the combos of 5-6. Potentially he's calling with 5-6 offsuit. That would depend on the player. So
yes.
I didn't take any of those out of his range. I kept all the combos of 5-6 when I was going through this after.
Yeah, so see, Josh is a wizard here, using the hand range funnel very effectively, because if you think about it, you have to think about what hands he can have on the flop. You have to think about what hands he can have pre-flop. So using the hand range funnel, you can effectively do that. So the hand range funnel starts with pre-flop every single hand. So by identifying your opponent's range pre-flop, it gives you clues into what hands he can have on the flop. Because remember the principle of a hand range funnel. He cannot have a hand on the flop that he can't have pre-flop. So what Josh is doing here is using the funnel to his advantage. He's asking himself a fundamental question. Would this villain call pre-flop with 5-6? offsuit? If the answer is no, he can't have 5-6 on the flop, because remember, funnels only get narrower, they never get wider. And that's why the funnel is so powerful when you're trying to figure out how to put your opponents on a hand, because it walks you through how to do it in a step-by-step process. And you can't really get it wrong. If you eliminate 5-6 preflop, he can't have it on the flop, right? It's just basic math. So I like where you're at here. I wouldn't fold. You're not folding. We're calling. Nobody's folding. Let's go to the turn. All right, guys. On this turn, it's a deuce. Interesting hand. And it's actually interesting that we preface this. Josh, you knew the results. I didn't. But it's actually interesting that we preface this with 5-6, because now that really becomes a factor. And this is why the hand range funnel is so important, because a lot of players, guys, will not call in the big blind with 5-6 offsuit facing a under the gun +2 open. They will not call. So if you know, guys, you're playing live poker or online poker, and you're playing against a certain type of player, and you all know who they are, they're just not capable of calling with 5-6 offsuit preflop, you know that 12 out of the 16 combos, now this is a little more advanced, this is part of that combo counting worksheet, there's 12 ways he can have 5-6 offsuit, there's only 4 ways he can have it suited. So 3/4 of the 5-6 combos, 75% of the time, he can't have 5-6, right? So it's automatically, boom, 75% is just gone because of the hand range funnel, because you're eliminating that hand preflop. So again, that's all available to download for free at the link in the description. I can walk you through exactly how I use this. There's hand examples in there, hands I've played from games around the world as well in the advanced version, which is also available. So check that out. So now I'm assuming he bets, right? You wouldn't be here if the guy just check folded. So he bets $5. Pot size bet, guys. What do you do now on the turn? I want your answers in the chat. Let me know, Mr. Fishing, Mac, Dragon, Steve, Guido, Andrea, Sharath, Joe, Reese. I'm looking at you. What would you do here on this turn? Would you just let this one go? Is it too risky that he has Queen 4, Queen 3, 4s, 3s, 5-6, Ace 5 now? Another possibility, guys. Would you just fold here, or are you going to look him up one more time? I'd like to know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in chat before Josh gives you his, so you're not biased. Josh, what are you thinking?
Well, I thought I had to look him up once more. I feel that as well online from my limited experience that people will give up when facing resistance. I give up in the sense that I feel his like Jack 10 of spades, if he called with like King 5 of spades maybe, or King X of spades, Queen X of spades. Obviously, I'm sorry, it can't be Queen X of spades, but just generally like naked flush draws. I feel naked flush draws are trying to pot it right now, see, hey, can I take it away, and I can give up on rivers. So I feel I had to look him up at least once more with plans of folding rivers.
Yeah, I understand. A lot of hands here are going to bet with more equity, right? We talked about that in the last hand. So what did we talk about? Hands that pick up equity continue barreling. So what if he has a hand like 4-5 as a bluff? What if he has a hand like 2 hearts as a bluff? What if he has a hand like like backdoor hearts with something like like 5-7 or something, like a lot of his bluffs have hearts in them because people like to bluff with equity, and equity is like backdoors, kind of like the hand that we just played. We check raise the flop with what? With a backdoor. So now if he hit his backdoor, he's going to continue betting again. Or if he had a bluff like 3-5 or something like that, he might bet again. Ace 3 of hearts, something like that, might bet again here. Maybe even a complete bluff like King 5 of hearts, guys, with a backdoor straight draw, backdoor flush draw. Likely bluff on the flop makes a lot of sense. We also block some of his bluffs because we have the ace of spades, thereby making it impossible for him to have the nut flush draw. So I think a lot of his bluffs contain hearts. I would look him up again here. I think it's just too tight to fold here. I see some people saying fold. I see most people saying call. I mean, look, guys, if you're playing live poker, for example, or you're playing against someone that they're just not like going to bluff, like you just know that when they check raise and bet, they always have it, fold. You should be folding here. You should be folding 2 aces here because the guy just always has it, and it's binary. He either has it or he doesn't. If he always has it, why would you call? Don't call in the name of game theory. Don't go broke because you're at the top of your range. That's stupid. Fold if the guy has you beat, right? That's math. If the guy has you beat, you fold, right? That's just math. So if you're sure he has you beat, fold. If you're not sure, I think you have to call again here. You're just too high up in your range. You have too strong of a hand. You beat too many hands. But you can tell that this guy's probably a good player because he's betting pot here. So the fact that he's betting pot here means he understands the fact that this is a good card for his range. It's a bad card for your range. He understands that it's more likely he has 5-6 than you. So he's going to apply pressure here, and he's going to apply max pressure to put you in a really tough spot. So it makes me think he's a good player, and if he's a good player, you know he could be bluffing because good players have combinations of bluffs and value hands in their range. Therefore, I would not fold. What a river, guys. What a river. I know you wouldn't be sending me this hand if it was easy, so the river's obviously not just going to be a check fold here. I'm assuming he's going to go all in because if he bets here, let me just talk about his bet sizing before I see it because I don't want you to think I'm biased by the results. The villain here, if he bets again, okay, the simple fact that he bets this river means he's repping the nuts or nothing. Okay, so he's not going to bet this river with 3-4. He's only going to bet this river with two categories of hands, guys. Two categories of hands. Bluffs. Obviously, he's going to be betting with bluffs. Or he's going to be betting with value. Now, what is his value? Well, the worst hand he can have for value is 5-6. The straight worst hand. Maybe ace-5. Maybe ace-5, guys. But realistically, he has a straight, he has a flush, or he has a boat. So he has one of those hands. So because his range is what is called polar, meaning very, very, very strong or very, very, very weak, he should be betting big. Now, it's important to realize that it doesn't really matter what strong hands he has because all of his strong hands beat most of our range. In other words, him having a straight and him having a boat is kind of the same thing simply because we never have any hands in between a straight and a boat. In other words, if he has a straight, he's relatively sure he has the best hand because it's so likely we have a queen or kings or aces. We never really have a hand that beats a straight. We never really have a flush. What flushes can we have? Maybe ace-3 of hearts or ace-5 of hearts, but that's it. Okay?
That's it.
That's it. We never really have a hand better than a straight. So it doesn't really matter if he has a straight or a boat because he almost always has his beat with those hands. Obviously, if he has a boat, it's more likely he has his beat than a straight, but the percentages are so small that it shouldn't affect his decision. So my point is that he should be shoving all in here. He shouldn't be betting $3 or $7 or $12. He should just be jamming. And he should be jamming because he's continuing to tell that story of I have you beat. Okay, so I would expect him to jam here. I'd expect him to apply max pressure. Boom, there it is, guys. You can tell. So this is a narrative. Now I'm not Nostradamus, but it's just this is just a standard sort of play here. Because he's a good player. So because I know he's a good player because he bet $5 on the turn, you could just tell that that's the line he's going to take here on the river. And this comes back to bet sizing and why it's so important. Because you want to apply max leverage. So I want you to think about this, guys. The fact he bet $5 on the turn is the single play that allowed him to shove here on the river. So by leveraging the bet size on the turn going pot, he can now shove on the river. Had he bet $3 on the turn, the pot would have been $11, and now he can't shove on the river. Because if the pot's $11 because he bet smaller on the turn, and he has 25 behind, not 22, what's he going to do? Shove for 2.5x pot? No. He shoves for a little more than pot because he leveraged up on the turn. Now, bet sizing is super important. Something I talk about. I talk about it everywhere. I talk about it inside the membership. There's tons of videos on it. Talk about it in the Win 2K program. Talk about it for free on a blog, The Ultimate Guide to Bet Sizing. If you want a free piece of content, check that out at Conscious Poker. Really important to get your head around this stuff, guys, however you want to do it. A lot of resources available for you. Definitely get familiar with this type of content. So, Josh, what are you thinking here on the river now? Guys, what are you thinking on the river? I see a lot of people here giving you clues, Josh. What are you thinking?
I'll give you my thoughts. Now, this is why I was so happy to send this hand into you when I had this opportunity because I thought it was really interesting. The first thing that came into my head is what value hands did we put him on earlier? Again, because when he bets that turn, all of his value hands that we said, as well as his bluffs, will continue to bet. So when we're looking about narrowing his hand range, that turn bet, we didn't really narrow much down, because I feel he's betting all those hands. Now we're really narrowing it down. As we said, with the queen 3 of diamonds, the queen 4 of diamonds, all the combos of 5, 6, assuming he's going with the offsuits, we're going to keep in his range. He has the 3s, he has the 4s that are now boats. He has ace 5, I guess ace 5 of hearts maybe. If he's so inclined to raise a gutter, he could have ace 5 of clubs or diamonds, so we didn't really talk about those, so we can keep those out. So that's what made me want to fold. Now, playing devil's advocate, do I ever have a better hand in this spot other than ace 5 suited, which would be the wheel? Do I ever have a better hand?
You can have ace 3 of hearts. You can have ace 5 of hearts. But yeah, you really don't have many better hands. I agree. You can have 3s or 4s, maybe.
I suppose. I don't know. On the gun 1, I might not open those.
Yeah, no, I agree. Look, guys, from a game theory standpoint, right, if you're looking at your own range and you're trying to say, how often should I call here? Well, you don't want to fold the best hand you can have because otherwise you're going to be folding too often. So you have to have a calling range here. In other words, you have to call the river some of the time. Otherwise, you're just going to get exploited, right? So that's what the old game theory, not the old game theory, it's actually new game theory strategy kind of says. But the question that I would pose is more fundamental than that. It's just like, is the guy bluffing? Like, is he capable of bluffing here for this amount? Most people aren't. Most people are never going to bluff on this card because they know you have a queen most of the time. Why would they bluff into trips? Because nobody folds trips. That's the level that most people are on. Now remember, when you play poker, and this is one of the fundamentals of things I share, is that your goal isn't to be on the highest level, it's to be one level higher than your opponents. So it's important to understand what level he's on. Most people, the collective psychology here is this card makes my opponent trips. He's never going to fold trips. Therefore, I'm never going to bluff. I'm going to go for max value, shove all in. That's just the default line here. So when I see this shove, I expect that. From a game theory standpoint, I would not fold here. The computer would not fold here. You have to call here with ace queen. I think it's just too high up in your range. You need to call with certain hands. You block him having some boats. I mean, this is just a clear call here, I think, from a math, long-term computer simulation, game theory, whatever these new age words you want to use, standpoint is. What would I actually do in this spot? I'd probably fold because nobody bluffs. Because game theory is cool, and if you want to take a test and pass, you should call. But if you want to win money, you should do the opposite of what people think you're going to do. He thinks you're going to call, you should fold. All right, so I understand like the whole argument, but I think in general, long term, if you're folding here, if you're calling here, I guess long term, if you're calling here, you're not going to get shown a bluff often enough. You're just not. You're just not going to get shown a bluff often enough. I don't think
you're getting a terrible price.
Well, you're getting, let's say you have to be right, like whatever.
I gotta be right a lot of the time.
40%, right? Like, is he bluffing 40%?
No, never.
Like, he might be bluffing here, guys. He really might be. But how often? 5%? 10%? So what you want to do, and this is one of the processes I teach in the course inside the membership, is basically just how to weigh your equity, in other words, your chance of winning, against the odds you need to get by calling. So your chance of winning is maybe like 10, 20%, but the odds you need to win are 40%. So since the delta is not in your favor, you should fold. That's what I think. I genuinely think we should fold. I just don't think, I think you might get shown a bluff, but I don't think long-term you're going to get shown a bluff often enough. Let's see what happens. You folded. I'm actually pretty proud of you here. This is a good fold, I think, long-term. Well done. Again, it's important to distinguish between the math and the game theory and the exploit, right? Like you have to understand what the game theory optimal play is. It's really important. I don't want to neglect the math. You have to know what the computer would do in order to deviate from it. You have to know the rules in order to break them. You have to understand what the right play is, and then you have to have a reason. You have to have a really good reason to deviate from that strategy. You should never deviate from the game theory strategy without a reason, because it's the default play, right? You shouldn't, you shouldn't break the rules unless you have a reason, right? Because the rules are there because they're supposed to be followed, because that's the general right strategy. But I think in this spot, for the reasons we talked about, this is going to be a long-term losing call. Josh, I'm proud of you for folding here, man. Any follow-up thoughts here?
Well, the question I would pose to you, where if he's a thinking player and knows that my range is capped in the sense that I have very few full houses and not many straights, do you think he could value bet the nut straight 5-6 into what my perceived range is?
Oh yeah, for sure. He's value betting 5-6 all day, and that's what we talked about. We talked about the fact that 5-6 is not much different than a boat, because your hands are mostly trips. So 5-6 beats trips. A boat beats trips. He doesn't care whether he has a boat or 5-6. In fact, you can make an argument that he'd rather not have queen 4, because queen 4 blocks you having a queen. It's almost better for him to have a flush than it is to have queen 4, because there's less hands you can call with if he has queen 4. Does it make sense? So it's almost better for him to have 5-6 in a weird, sort of screwed up, kind of weird way. I hope that makes sense. But great stuff, Josh. Thanks for being on the show. Appreciate it. We got to take some calls from you guys here, because it's been so long. You guys have been so patient with such terrible tech. I'm really sorry about that. We're gonna get better on Wednesday, I hope. I hope we cleaned it up for the rest of the call. So we got hand 2. I got a checklist here of everything we need to get through here. So we got calls now. We got calls. What guys? If you want to hop on the show, I see some people have been waiting patiently, so I'm going to give them first priority. But if you want to hop on the show and ask me questions, you can do so with the link in the description below on Zoom. Or you can just type them in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them here as well. So yeah, let's see. We got Kunya Dav. He has a weird screen name here. What's up, my man? You're on the air. Unmute your mic and come on, ask me anything, man. What's up? Hopefully the tech works a little bit better. Hopefully the tech works. Hang on, guys. All right, type your questions in the chat too. I want to make sure I get to a couple of your questions here before we go. Kunalev, if you want to join the call, unmute your mic and ask. Whatever. Oh man, guys, how's everybody doing? Shoot, man, what a crazy time we live in. It is bananas. It's bananas. I've been in my house for today I went on a run. I told you this in the beginning. I went on a run in the parking garage. So I ran from the garage to the gate and back, which is 80 meters. But that's been my going outside. It is a weird world. You told me this 2 months ago. I would have been like, yeah, right. All right, we got someone else here on Zoom. Victor, what's up, man? You're on the air.
Hello, Victor.
Victor, man, if you have a question, type it in chat. He's on the air, but his mic's not working either. Got some serious mic issues today. I hope everyone's doing well. We got this coming next week. We got an exciting schedule as well of content that's going to be released. I'm really pumped for that. Victor, what's up, man? You're on the air.
How you doing?
What's up, man? I'm well, thanks.
Crazy times here. So my question is, I've been playing poker for 12, 15 years now.
Wow, cool.
And I'm playing a lot of low stakes, friends, home games online with Zoom. What's your suggestion on playing with guys who don't play a lot, who have big hand ranges, and aren't that great of poker players? I find it very hard.
Yeah, no, I totally understand, and it's kind of, it's kind of frustrating because you're on a level higher than them, right? So you're kind of thinking about the game maybe in the way that we're talking about it here, where you know that this is a good card for your range and you want to rep these hands and I can have it and he can't have it and all these like fun things that make poker fun and sexy and exciting and creative, because you see the game on a deep level and you're it's like you're playing chess and you're moving your knight so that in 4 moves you can do this, and you're expecting him to move here, and then he doesn't move there, and you can't do your elaborate plan. But the reality is, just like in chess, it's easier to checkmate them if they make stupid mistakes. So you might move your knight, and then expecting that if he does this in 6 moves, you're going to do that, but then he just makes a blunder, you capture the piece, move your queen, checkmate 1-2. And it's like that in poker too. So you might be... The problem with in poker that's different than chess is that in chess, if you move well, you're going to win no matter what. In poker, if you try and play on a higher level than your opponent that's too high, you're going to cost yourself money. For example, in that last hand we just saw, if you're bluffing on that river, most people aren't going to fold, especially in your game. They're not going to fold trips. They're not going to fold an overpair. So you're going to bluff because you're like, oh, well, I can have it, he can't have it, and all this stuff, and you're just going to get called. So what you have to do is actually what's more boring, and you have to dumb down your game. Again, remember that the goal isn't to think on the highest level like it is in chess. The goal is to think one level higher than your opponents. So if your opponents are calling all the time, they're playing too many hands, they're never bluffing, and they're just, monkeys trying to type Hamlet at the poker table, your strategy is actually quite rudimentary. It's simply play stronger hands than them, play in position, raise when you have high equity hands that win at showdown. So don't raise with 5-4 suited because everybody limped because you want to exploit the limp. Raise with king jack or better because you have a hand that's going to win at showdown. It's a hand with sheer value. It's a hand in the upper left quadrant of the little, the graph chart of all the hands. You see those graphs of all the hands. It's like the hands up here in the upper left. You're raising with the hands for value, and that's boring because you have to be patient. You can't mix it up. You can't 4-bet cold from the blinds. You can't 3-bet when you sense weakness because it goes raise, call, call. You can't down bet the flop and then bet big on the turn. You can't do any of that shit. You got to just be patient. You got to just play strong hands, and you're relying more on the deck than you normally would because the deck is going to dictate your action. And you're like, well, if everybody relied on the deck, nobody would gain an edge. But they're not relying on the deck. The people you're playing against aren't relying on the deck. They're denying the math of the deck. And that's why you're relying on the deck, and that's why you're going to win. Because when they go left, you go right, and that's how you win at poker. So it's actually more boring. You're going to have to sit there and meditate at the table because you're just going to fold 90% of the hands, but those 10% are going to win you 90% of the money, and that's what's going to happen if you play well. So it's actually going to be more boring. Your win rate is going to be higher, though. People that say you can't win money because the players are so bad you can't put them on hands just aren't adopting the right strategy. It's basic math. If they play low equity hands, you play high equity hands, you're going to win money, right? It's like, the house always wins because you're making a low equity bet by playing roulette or slots, and they're making a high equity bet. You manifest that over a long sample, you're going to win money. You're going to win more money playing against worse players because they're playing more hands. But the strategy has to be right? The strategy has to be there. So that's the strategy. Plan to be bored, but plan to make a lot of money. So that's it, my man. Thanks for the question. Let's go to. Yeah, thanks, Victor. Appreciate the kind words, man. All right, let's. Reese has a question here. How important is the amount of time you take to call, raise, go all in, etc.? Is the psychology of other players influenced by the time you take to make your move, or does it not matter? Well, this really depends because, Reese, you can't apply a blanket strategy to everyone because everyone doesn't think the same thing. So let me give you a funny example. Actually, I wrote about this in my book. I was playing poker one time at Commerce, and I went all in, and my food had arrived like a little while, like in the beginning of the hand. And so like the whole hand went by, I went all in on the river, and this guy went into the tank, and he like was just like talking to himself, like going at it for a while. So I turned around and I like started to like, I like grabbed a piece of broccoli and ate it, or like moved food around. And he like stood up and instantly called me. Okay, and he called me because the way that I ate my broccoli and the time I took and whatever. So he was thinking on that level, right? He ended up getting the wrong read, which is neither here nor there. But like, he was using that information to dictate his decision. And so it was important for him that the time I took in the hand or how I reacted or the way I moved, he was thinking on that level. Other players won't notice. You go all in really quick. Some people will think that's a sign of weakness and that you're bluffing. Other people won't give it any credence. Other people won't know that it's a sign of weakness. They might think it's a sign of strength. So your job is to figure out where everyone's at and to adopt a unique strategy for each individual player. So these blanket strategies are not good strategies because they don't encompass the fact that poker is a game of people played with cards, not a game of cards played with people. So you have to understand the human element. And the beauty of poker and why every hand is different is because no two people see the world the same way. And people translate their worldview, they project their worldview onto the table. So when they're making decisions, it's about who they are as a person, not about the cards or anything like that. So the level they're on, and when you talk about the psychology, it's really predicated on how that person thinks about the world, how that person sees the world. And that's something that's your challenge to understand at the table specifically. Now, online, you don't have any of that information. So what's called timing tells, meaning giving away the strength of your hand based on how long you take, is something that you want to be cognizant of because you don't want to act quickly when you're bluffing or vice versa. You want to take the same amount of time with all the strength of your hands so that your opponents never can read into it. So, maybe don't always take 5 seconds if you're going to fold 7 deuce preflop, but, take at least 5 seconds for every decision. And then if when you take, let's say you have, you use your time bank, for example, right? This is a common timing tell if you play online. People only use their time bank when they have a decision like a weak hand. But sometimes maybe use your time bank when you're debating whether or not to go all in as a bluff or go all in for value. So you're kind of like balancing the times that you take a long time with the times you take a short amount of time when you have strong hands and weak hands. So you're kind of doing both. All right? Good question, my man. Let's see. We got a couple other questions here that I want to take. I want to get Kunav on the YouTube live as well. Mojo asks, is there a monthly membership? Yes, there is. There's a free trial available. It's at the link in the description below. Conscious Poker membership is awesome. Josh, actually, who you saw here as a member, he's a really sharp player. There's great content there. We do monthly group coaching. You'll have access to me. There's a private Facebook group. More info in the description below, so check that out. Let's see. All right. What's up, my man? You're on the air. Kunlia Dev. Sorry, I'm butchering your name. But, hey, man, what's up? Hey, what kind of, where are you from, my man? Tell me where you're from.
I was even on the last stream also. I'm from India.
Oh, okay, I remember you. Yeah, from India. All right, man, what's up? What question can I answer?
Nothing, I was playing tournament today.
Yeah.
I failed one hand and I got eliminated. I completed my registration time. So I had 6-3 at hijack position.
Yeah, okay, so we can't do a hand review, my man. I'd love to do your hand, but if you want to do hands, actually, there's a link in the description where you can email me hands and be on the show on Friday. But if you start to tell me the hand, people get lost. It's not visual. It's too much. So if you have a quick question I can answer, that's fine. But if you have, actually, for all you guys out there watching too, if you have a hand you want me to review, there's a link in the description. And you can email me your hands, and my team will pick the best ones, and we'll reach out to you, and you can be on Fan Fridays. We're going to try and do a Fan Friday show, where Wednesday, maybe we'll do Wednesdays too, but Fan Fridays for sure, I think it's going to be something that sticks. So, yeah. What's up, my man? Let me know your question.
Yeah, I want to ask you how to overcome the fear of not performing well.
Ooh, that's a good question. Yeah, so his question, for those of you that can't hear, I know the mic's been questionable. His question is, how do you work on the fear of not performing? I think it's important to have confidence in your own reads and your own ability. And there's people will probably attest to this. There's a big difference between knowing the right play and making it. So you can have, you can sit here and, it's easy to be armchair quarterback, or you can look at a hand afterwards, or even look at your own hands and be like, well, I knew that he had this, but then it's like, well, why don't we make those plays in the moment? And that's one of the things that's really, separates the better players, is they're able to execute on those plays because fear isn't necessarily it's not dictating their actions, right? They understand that there's that voice in their head that says, what if you get called? What if you look stupid? But they're not listening to that. So what's really worked for me, I actually have a process I go through, which I'm going to plan on sharing in the Win 2K course. In one of the calls, I'm going to go over this at length because the mental game is so important. So if that's something you want to be a part of, there's a link in the description below. You can apply, check that out. But one of the tactics that I use is I like to prime myself with questions. So I like to help myself come to the right conclusion by asking myself a question that will lead me to the promised land. So the question I would ask, it's a lot about the conversation that you have with yourself in your head, because you want to silence the noise and the fear and the doubt, and you want to focus on how you want to play the hand and what your optimal strategy is. And a good way to do that is by priming yourself with a question. Because if the question you ask yourself leads you to making the right long-term decision, then that's where your thoughts are going, and that's how you're going to react in real time. So for example, asking yourself, what is the best play to make here? Now you're having a conversation in your head, not about how do I look if I get called and people think I'm an idiot on national television, but you're asking yourself, what is the best way to play the hand? So now your conversation shifts from the fear to what is the correct strategy, and then you're having a conversation about what the correct strategy is, and now you can execute on that play, because now you're like, well, this is the right play, therefore I'm going to make that play. So it's easier to translate that thought into an action because you're forcing yourself to have that thought through the question you're asking yourself. So that's just one of the tactics that I use that works really well for me, but try that out. All right, I'm going to take one more question here. I know you guys have been amazing being here with me so long. I really appreciate it. You guys are awesome, and I want to get to as many of you as I can, especially because you've been so patient with this tech issue. All right, let's see if someone else is on Zoom. We're going to get a question in the chat here. Let me know your questions in chat, guys. Richard, Mac, thanks for being here. I've met you guys both, so you guys are awesome. Chris, Reese, some good stuff. Andy, what's up, my man? Some familiar faces here. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today on Friday. I hope this is a good time for you guys, because it's really hard to find the time. And also when I do these membership calls, because we have actually some clients in Thailand and Melbourne and whatnot, so it's like it's always hard. That's why we put all our stuff on replay in the group calls and stuff like that, because it's like there's always someone that's like, it's too early, it's too late, I'm at lunch, or I have this. Oh man, actually, this I always try and make lemons out of lemonade, right? So we gotta look at the smaller percentage of things that are bright side of this whole situation. But one of the things that you guys may have noticed is just like it's easier to get in touch with people, man. It's like everybody's free, so it's just easier to coordinate, right? So now it's like you want to have a Zoom call, you want to talk to a friend, you want to do a YouTube live. It's like people are around, man. So it's, now it's I've been on schedule. I'm normally traveling. It's hard for me to kind of commit to things ahead of time, like where I'm going to be at 5:30 on Wednesday and Friday 2 weeks ahead of time. But now it's like, shit, where am I going to be next Wednesday at 5:30? I'm going to be right here with you guys, man. So this is good timing. I hope we can keep this up. I appreciate you guys. I hope you guys are here with me again in future YouTube lives. This has been a lot of fun. Mr. Fishing with a great comment. If you can't let the money fear go, the fear of money go, I think he's saying, you shouldn't be there because the fear will break you. I'm correcting, just talking about so the general thought there that I really like. That is a good point. Yeah, the fear is definitely gonna be the ruin here. A lot of people, you can see it. You can see it in them, man. There's that moment. It's so beautiful to watch high stakes live poker or to play and to be involved in those situations where you're watching a guy on the river, and he's thinking about making a move. He thinks he should make a move, but then you also know that he's not going to pull the trigger to make the move, and that's the beauty of it, where you see it all transpiring. It's almost like you're seeing what they're thinking through the subtleties of the motions and the expressions, and it's really this beautiful thing to watch, because you're kind of like reading into their mind and thoughts, and that's like one of my favorite things about live poker, and especially in those high pressure moments, you really find out, what, like, are they capable of doing it, and that's a really fundamental thing to ask yourself. All right, guys, this has been awesome. I think we're good. I love y'all. What else? That's it. Much love, everybody. I'm going to see you next Wednesday. If you want to stay up to date with when we're doing these, how to join, subscribe to Conscious Poker. It's totally free. You'll get a newsletter every Monday with all the best poker content, exclusive poker tips, the latest content we release, first look at everything, first priority to join, win 2K, and courses and giveaways, a lot more. It's the coolest poker newsletter. It's called Crush Mondays. It's available at consciouspoker.com. Also, if you download the Intro to Hand reading, you'll automatically get subscribed to Crush Mondays. So check that out, the link in the description. Thanks for everyone for being here. Subscribe to this YouTube, turn on notifications so that you're aware when we do these again in the future. And you guys are amazing. Thanks for everybody's time. Appreciate the support. Much love, peace, love, and social distance. See you soon.